I've been thinking a lot about emulation recently. The closure of the 3DS eShop has meant that I've gotten a lot of comments on my videos telling me to mod my console, and on older Steam Deck videos, emulation has come up a fair bit as well. Now, in the past, I haven't been that keen on either modding or emulation, preferring to focus instead on games that I could play natively. But now that we've lost access to even more games, my mindset on this is starting to shift a bit. I think that having a way to preserve and play these older games is a great thing actually, and I've got a fair number of old games that I do own, but I can't necessarily play, and that's either because the battery might have run out in the cartridge, or maybe their native console is a bit broken and busted, or maybe it's just that I don't have the right cables to hook it all up together or put it to a TV anymore. It doesn't really seem right to me that even owning the games can eventually still mean that you struggle to play them, or at least play them conveniently. And so recently I picked up this little device. It's called the Anbernic RG35XX. Whew. Now, I will grant you, it's not the best name, but it is a really nifty little device, and I'm really enjoying it so far. If you've been following the channel at all, then you know I'm much more of a handheld gamer than I am a console or a PC gamer. And so, really, I wanted a way to play these retro games not sat at my desk. I wanted to be able to play them in my hands, on a sofa, you know, in any room that I could, or even out of the house if that was possible. And with this, it is. So far, I'm really liking using it. It's a great size, it feels pretty good, the buttons feel good to play. There are a lot of retro consoles like this popping up everywhere these days, but after doing a load of research, I think this one is a good entry-level emulator. It's not too expensive compared to some others, and it can play up to PS1 games, which for now is enough for me. It cost me about £80 including delivery, but it doesn't really feel like a cheap knockoff. As I said, the buttons feel nice, the screen is great to look at, especially if you compare it to something like an old Game Boy. There's just a huge leap there in screen quality. That price point also means I'm a lot less afraid to use it, at least out of the house anyway. I recently went on a weekend away. It was a family holiday to a big city and it was a fair distance to travel. And I wanted to take something with me to play games in the downtime, and I considered the 3DS originally and the Steam Deck, but I wasn't too sure about either of those options. So the 3DS at this point is much harder to replace, and the Steam Deck is A, very big, and B, pretty expensive if, you know, something were to go wrong and I broke it or lost it. The RG35XX though? Well, it's small, light, and it's cheap enough that I'd just be able to replace it pretty quickly if I lost or broke it. So I just threw it in a small carry bag that I brought with me everywhere alongside a Kindle and a notebook, and it got plenty of use on that trip. Setting it up wasn't too bad either. The recommendation seems to be to not go with the built-in software and instead to install Garlic OS, an operating system that looks and runs better than what you initially have on the device. I followed Retro Game Corp's step-by-step guide on how to do this. It can seem a little scary at first if you're not used to flashing SD cards, but the guide is really good and I think you'll get through it no problem. Once you've set that up, you just put your ROMs into the right folders on the right SD card and away you go. Just quickly talking about a few of my favorite features. First of all, Garlic OS lets you put the device to sleep and suspend your game, which I absolutely love being able to do this on these retro games. It means you don't have to go through the boot up animation again and again, you just go right back to where you left off. And it actually can suspend more than one game at once with a recents page that lets you go back and forth between them if you want. Secondly, there are some shortcuts set up from the get-go, which you can activate by holding the menu button and pressing a corresponding button. So for example, menu and R1 speeds things up, or menu and R2 or menu and L2 creates and loads save states. Once you've figured out the right buttons, it's pretty simple to use, and it's really helpful when getting through sort of annoying sections of games. So what have I been playing on it? Well, mostly I've been playing Game Boy Advanced games so far. So I've been playing a Pokemon ROM hack called Radical Red, which is a wonderful combination of old school nostalgia mixed in with updated features, quality of life improvements. There's Pokemon from all of the new generations, and there's an increased difficulty level. Actually, the increased difficulty is a lot at this point. I'm starting to struggle with it. I've just got to the 3rd gym and I'm really having a tough time getting past that. I've also put a few of my favorite older games on there, so things like Spider-Man for the PlayStation 1, and my partner really enjoyed playing Frogger 2 back in the day, so we've been going back and forth playing levels on that. And I will actually say that that game is harder than I thought it would be. I have died way more times than I'd like to admit. It is a little strange though playing PS1 games on a screen this size, but it does make it look less pixely, so I think it's a good thing overall. I'm having a great time and there are plenty of games that I want to get round to playing on it eventually. If emulation is something that you're interested in getting into, then there's just so many different ways and options to do it. If you've got a half decent PC, then that really is all you need just to get started. You can start emulating these older games like Game Boy, PlayStation 1, the kind of things that I've been revisiting. But it also is possible to emulate more powerful consoles. You would just need more power in your PC. You might need a bit more of an advanced rig. There are also plenty of other handhelds out there like this one that will do things like N64, PlayStation 2 and more. They often come with 2 joysticks and different button layouts, so if that's what you're into, then I think those can be great ways to play if you want to have a device you take around with you instead of playing it on your PC. For now though, I don't think I'd buy another handheld like this. This one is enough for me just to sort of play these old Game Boy games and PlayStation 1 games. That's really where I got my start in gaming, and these are the games that I have a lot of memories from. Although, on saying that, I did used to really like playing PlayStation 2 games with my brother. We would spend hours playing some of these old games like Return of the King and Spider-Man 2 and things like that. I can't play PS2 games on the RG35XX, which is a bit of a shame. I wonder if I have another way to play PS2 games at home that I might have forgotten about. Maybe something portable like this that I haven't really thought of that's more powerful? Nah, probably not.